At Fabian Architects and Make Studio, we try and understand our clients' needs and how this affects the design process. A lot of design nowadays is superficial, and that is sometimes appropriate, but we like to have a depth of understanding behind our design thinking. Through this historical process, the site ended up being quite unique and large for its size and in the area. And at 7,500 square meters, it was quite clear that something unusual was possible on this property and for this developer. We decided to consolidate the floor area into a multi-story building of 7 stories that curves around an outside open space that is accessible to all residents. The challenge was to bring the concept out, which is to define the external space and to consolidate the building. And it was very important to make this magnificent garden, which would be open to all residents and become a visual and physical and sensual resource to them. The Bantry Hills project sits on a site also with a significant slope, and this created part of the challenges that we had to face because it was difficult to define the ground plane and the height of the building. But eventually, with a combination of separate ground planes and softly sloping slopes, we were able to get the building into a continuous mass that defines the space. So the stepping ground planes and the differing building heights that was caused by the slope of the site also created quite severe challenges for our council application. Not only because the drawings were complex themselves, but also because the city officials struggled to actually understand what we were trying to convey in our drawings. It took much longer to approve, even though it was a process without any departures or advertising. This simplicity belies the striking curvature of the building, which ended up being quite a successful device for helping to define the space. The curve has an arc of less than 90 degrees, meaning that it's actually an open curve and it is much more open to the sun and to the view. As precedent, we looked at the Fontainebleau Hotel in Miami. We also liked the brutalist building, the Sonnenkring in Frankfurt, which also is a very straightforward design, just with the curved floor planes rising into the air. One of the key features of Bantry Hills was that the apartment sizes are quite generous and that there's a feeling of generosity that moves through the entire building. So it's not only the generous open space of the garden, but it's the apartments themselves are slightly larger than you'd expect, and even the smallest apartments generally have larger balconies and quite good finishes. The garden space ended up being more than 2,500 square meters, and it's crisscrossed by little paths. There's an avenue of fever trees going through it. There's a play area. It really is a magnificent space. Opposite the open space from the residential part of the building, there's a common building which is also open for all of the residents. This includes a gym area and an indoor swimming pool. And it's a lower building, obviously, so it settles a bit more into the general sea point fabric, but most of the building overlooks the roof of this so that there's always sunlight and views available over it.